I've talked about ICE and Abolish ICE and the far left before, but there's some more information as the conversation continues to develop. So let's just start with a general premise. Most people don't want to abolish ICE. A good portion of people don't even know what ICE is, and I'm talking about the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, which is a part of the Department of Homeland Security and deals with internal matters of immigration and customs. What's really funny is a lot of people who are saying abolish ICE are upset over the family separations happening on the border, except that's not ICE. That's Customs and Border Patrol, CBP, that's separating families, not ICE. What ICE does is internal U.S. investigations for immigrations and customs and Border Patrol deals with people illegally entering the country. Get your divisions, get your branches straight. You're calling to abolish ICE when you're mad at CBP. Nobody's calling for the abolishment of CBP, at least no high-profile calls from politicians, which is very strange, because if today you abolished ICE, family separation wouldn't stop. They'd still be doing it, then what would you be complaining about? So let's look at this story from Politico. First, we do have an update from the other day, but this is some general information. Voters oppose abolishing ICE. So why then are so many people jumping on this bandwagon saying we should do it when the polls show people oppose it? A new Politico Morning Consult poll shows that most voters oppose eliminating immigration and customs enforcement, the Homeland Security Agency some liberal Democrats have called for abolishing. Only 1 in 4 voters in the poll, 25%, believe the federal government should get rid of ICE. The majority, 54%, think the government should keep ICE. 21% are undecided. 25's even higher, a bit higher than it was before. But keep in mind, most people don't even know what it is. They say, a plurality of Democrat voters do support abolishing ICE. The poll shows among Democrats, 43% say the government should get rid of ICE, while only 34% say it should keep ICE. Majority of Republicans, 79%, and independents want the government to keep ICE. Now keep in mind, it's not even a majority of Democrats who want to abolish ICE. So why would certain high-profile individuals try to double down and just adopt this rhetoric of abolishing ICE when even among Democrats only 43% are in favor of it? I will add, that's kind of a high number, which is pretty worrisome to me. There are too many Democrats who don't understand the issues. As I mentioned, ICE handles internal issues. If the Democrats want to complain about family separations, which is the key issue, they're talking about CBP, not ICE. So what is the general complaint about ICE, and why are they calling for it to be abolished when CBP is the subject of this controversial story, this controversial policy? Maybe it's because people don't actually know what they're talking about, and they just rally around ideas. I think they'll get them votes, and then people just believe it, and the media doesn't do their job well enough. Calls to abolish ICE have been amplified over the past 2 weeks since Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a liberal challenger, defeated House Democratic Caucus Chair Joe Crowley in a Democratic primary for Crowley's New York City-based seat. And the reason I think that is because all the polls showed that Crowley was going to win, and he didn't take it seriously. And what Cortez did was she got people who didn't vote. Sound familiar? Seems like Trump did something similar. Find people who don't normally vote, convince them to vote, and you will win. And she did. And what's really crazy is she also won a neighboring primary, which she was not actually in, through write-ins. Isn't that nuts? In the 15th district. A handful of liberal figures, including some potential 2020 presidential candidates like Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, have also called for eliminating or replacing ICE, as have other Democratic primary challengers like Cynthia Nixon, who is running against New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Donald Trump was critical of this. He said, "The Democrats are making a strong push to abolish ICE, one of the smartest, toughest, and most spirited law enforcement groups of men and women that I have ever seen." Trump tweeted last month, though the abolish ICE position is not widely held in the party. Right, even among voters, only 43%. But here's what's really important. 54% of independents are in favor of keeping ICE. Let's think about that in terms of voting. Most Republicans want to keep it. Most independents want to keep it. So what's going to happen when it comes to a general election in 2020? When the Democrats, you do have high-profile people calling for it to be abolished. Whether or not actual, candidates or politicians are going to say the same thing, it is a losing position. 54% of independents, 79% of Republicans, you are on the losing side. So I have to imagine, at least on this issue, the Republicans are going to get way more votes. Even among Democrats, not less than half agree with it. So if you have two candidates and one says keep ICE, one says abolish it, most people are in favor of keeping it, you are a losing position. This is a bad idea. While the partisan differences on the issues are stark, so are the cleavages by age. Among voters ages under age 30, most support getting rid of ICE, 39%, then keeping it, 33%, but majorities among all other ages, 51%, 56%, 61%, and 68% support keeping the agency. Keep in mind, even people under 30, it is still only 39% that want to get rid of it. That means most people don't care or want to keep it. Losing position. I've talked about this before, but look, as the story continues, I think it's important to repeatedly beat the dead horse over why the hell are you moving in this direction? Does the left want to win? Do they want to win seats this November? Do they want to win the presidency in 2020? Then why are they embracing this stuff? It's not a good idea. It's not going to work. So Democrats have a 5-point lead in the generic congressional ballot, 42% to 43% in late June. Democrats held an 8-point lead, though the change is within the poll's margin of error. So we're still, kind of 50-50. And I think it's also important to realize that polls have been dead wrong on a lot of issues. The president and now Ocasio-Cortez. But there's another story. And this one's actually really interesting. This one's from Fox News. Whether or not you trust Fox News, I know conservatives think they're good, liberals think they're not. It would be no different if I pulled up any other biased source, but I think Fox News is a biased source towards the right. They say, Fox News poll, abolish ICE, not trending among voters. Okay, so let me get this straight. Not only is it not a favorable position to hold, most people aren't even talking about it. So you've adopted a position that most people don't talk about, don't care about, and that even when they do care about it, most people disagree with abolishing it. That, to me, is some top-level idiocy. Unless they know something I don't know. I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world, right? It's possible they've got some top-secret spying or voting algorithm going on in the background, and they're like, oh, we know. People really want to get rid of this agency. But when you look at Politico and Fox News, they're like, not only do people want to keep it, most people aren't even talking about it. So let's look at what they had to say. The controversy surrounding his border policy has split Americans down the middle over U.S. immigrations and customs enforcement. The latest Fox News poll finds 41% registered voters approve of how ICE is handling its job, while 41% disapprove. Okay, it gets better. Because even among those who are just talking about whether or not they're doing a good job, it's 50-50. Right? It's 41 to 41, but I mean like among people who are sure, it's still half people are like, yeah, they're doing a great job. So, okay, let's run through this again. Most people want to keep it. Most people aren't even talking about it. And the people who do know what's going on, half of them say they're doing it. They're doing a good job. It's crazy to me that politicians don't know what they're talking about, would embrace this position when people don't want it. I will also keep in mind, I just criticized polling. This polling could be bad too. And like I said, maybe, come November, everyone wants to abolish ICE. I sincerely disagree. I think it's an extremist position. But, I could be wrong. I don't think I'm right. I'm looking at polls. They're looking at polls, and we're drawing different conclusions. I just think they're being, stupid. Maybe they think I'm being stupid too. That's fair. A large 39% minority says it doesn't know enough about ICE to have an opinion on shuttering their doors. Voters familiar with the agency are more likely to approve of the job ICE is doing, 59%, and oppose its elimination, 57%. About 4 in 10 voters are extremely or very familiar with the agency. Keep in mind, these polls, the political poll is from the 11th, this one's from yesterday, and they do differ, right? So who knows who's right about this? But, Fox News is biased towards the right, so it's unsurprising this is the stance they take. Opinions on the job ICE is doing divide among party lines. Obviously, most Republicans approve, while most Democrats disapprove. It's almost pretty even, too. About 69% Democrats disapprove, 75% of Republicans approve. Democratic disapproval doesn't lead to a big push for dismantling the agency. Equal numbers of Democrats favor, 25%, and oppose abolishing ICE, while the largest number is unsure. So in the Fox poll, among Democrats, only a quarter of Democrats even want to get rid of it. That's actually much less, nearly half of what we saw from Politico. It could be that this has changed over the past few days. Their opinions have evolved. Should all individuals who enter the U.S. illegally be prosecuted? Voters split again. 45% favor, 46% oppose. This is really interesting because something you need to consider for the family separation is that if an adult brings a child across the border, the adult will be prosecuted, and they're not going to send the child with the adult to jail or to holding. So the child goes to a care facility, which is a higher standard than, say, a prison or holding cells, still a detainment facility. And so there's a big challenge among the rhetoric from the far left when they're like, family separations shouldn't happen. I think that's true. I do think. But I feel like a lot of their opinions aren't sussed out enough to actually talk about it. And let me give you mine. I think when we're dealing with illegal border crossings, we should take individual consideration into the matter, and we have immigration detention facilities. Perhaps we should just house families in housing units, right? I'm not an expert. I understand there's a real logical split here. You're not going to send the kid to prison too. The kid's got to go somewhere else. So what do? It's kind of a rock and a hard place. So we'll see what happens, but it seems like, we're going to see an end to the family separations. It's a tough call, man. Somebody breaks the law, regardless of how they broke the law, their kids don't go with them to jail. You go to jail, your kids go somewhere else, and inside the country, then, Child Protective Services will take your kids. Is that wrong too? I don't know. Personally, I don't think so. I think you've got to put criminals into, the criminals go to jail. I don't believe in, the DSA's abolish prisons or anything like that. I think prisons need to be reformed, absolutely. We need to fix this big problem in our country, but we can't send a kid to prison with their parents, and we can't put every parent in a family prison. So what do you do? How do you deal with it? Honestly, I don't know. Clearly, abolishing ICE isn't the appropriate response. But, basically, I think I've beaten this one into submission. The general idea is most people don't want to get rid of ICE. Most people don't know what ICE is. And even among Democrats, majority of Democrats from both polls don't want to abolish ICE. My advice to you guys, maybe you should stop pushing for something like this, because you're probably going to lose if you do. Stick around. Actually, don't stick around tonight. This is it for my videos today, but I will have a video up tomorrow. Early in the morning, Subverse, the YouTube channel, will have a new video. We have a long discussion with Mark Perry from the University of Michigan, and then my videos are up every day at 4 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all tomorrow.